lot of new faces here. I should say old faces, because I haven't seen them before. So my name's Rich. Anyway, like I said, we've gone for a couple years. But last year, I don't know, I bought a couple boards of Menards. Damn, they look kind of nice. I thought, yeah, I'm making more than that. So it was just kind of a flat relief carving and maybe an exercise of airbrushing, because how often can you go on and off making those white little dots or without, spitting or making a hell of a mess. So it's I made 2 or 3 of these things, and actually got another one home about a foot longer than this, so it kind of I hang it in the garage, so when people drive by, they think, wow, that guy can really fish.
Could you hold that up for the camera, Rich?
It's kind of heavy.
You can manage.
It's one of these.
Get close. Yeah, way out in your arms, so it looks better.
You got to take this out the boat with you in the fish house.
Okay, thank you.
Then just the last week or two, I don't know, I had a little bit of wood to burn up, so I thought, geez, I haven't done a pair of mallards for a little bit, so a couple mallards in the process here. The drake is kind of just a little bit more sanding here, just to kind of tool it up a little bit, but I don't know if anybody's done them lately, but I'm sure I'm not the first guy to do this, but the tail inserts out of PVC. So if anybody has done that in the past or wants to take a look at it, they're always kind of tricky. Work with a hot air gun and burn the hell out of your fingers and try to get that curl, and sometimes it's too much, right? You've been there, right? And then the hen, this one here, I guess this is what this contraption here is about. So I don't know how many of you guys have this issue, or maybe it's just me, but when it comes time to put your head on, you kind of like to get all your detailing done pretty damn close, maybe leave your neck a little bit fatter until you get it mounted, then do the final shaping there. But it's one of those things, well, how do I put a clamp on here? Your clamp wants to slide forward, backwards. It's always kind of a pain in the butt, right? So after a few practice sessions, I thought, God dang, I'm tired of that, fighting that clamp. You put it on there, you come back 10 minutes later and you found it slipped off, or you put a dent in the head that you can't sand out of there without making a big mess of things. So I thought, geez, why don't I come up with something? So basically, we made this kind of adjustable, so it'll fit, a couple different sized ducks, whatever you're working on. And I could take this thing, I can kind of, clamp her in there, wedge her in there nice and tight. And this bracket here will kind of keep the ass end down, so as you put pressure in your head, because every once in a while, if you did on your bench, you get the same thing, you get a little rocking action, right? So if I clamp this on the back here, you can kind of see what I'm driving at. So then when I put the head on here, I kind of make kind of a concave cut here, and loosen up a little bit. So I kind of lined it with cork. Cork is always a little forgiving, so basically if I clamp this down nice and tight, not the point where you do any damage to your carving, just kind of snug her down there, lock everything in place. And then this thing has got, like I say, a little concave bevel. You can slide this back and forth, kind of get it the position you want, that you can clamp this down as you put your glue in there. It seems to do a nice job for it. So I thought I'd bring that in, so if anybody thought, hey, I have the same problems as Rich, I'll give you a couple ideas. It seems to work pretty very good for him.
You did with that. Nice.
Yeah, don't take any pictures of that, Frank.
Too late.
Then, if you're like me, I'm sure you're probably all about the same. After you carve something, you set it on the bench, and it's kind of I don't want to race too fast before I call it good. So when you leave it on the bench, you look at it a day or two later, you get a little different light and think, I should tweak this a little bit more, I should do a little bit more of this or that. But just one comment here, so the shoulder points. So when you're doing your block out, I kind of, take a drill press when it's still in a square shape, and I'll drill down where my shoulder points are to a certain point. And just the last couple ducks I've noticed, when I look at Pat Gun's patterns versus another person's patterns, the shoulder point seems to shift a little bit. And I don't know if that is really a hard fact, where that shoulder point should be. Should it be at the back of the neck? Should it be in the center of the neck? I mean, you look at a person, where's his shoulder? It's in line with your neck, right? But every once in a while, as you look at various ducks as you go around, you kind of, geez, do I get that far enough ahead or far enough back? It's just a talking point. But I guess that's maybe where my comment is. Don't rush it. Stand back, wait a little bit. If it takes a couple extra days just to kind of tweak it, every once in a while you find out, oh, God damn, it looks a little better if I would have left it there, or change your pattern and say, next time I'm going to do it, put a note on there, I'm going to move it ahead a quarter inch or not quite so deep. So this one here, and if you hollow these things out, you know, I hollow them out, but I don't quite do it like Tom does. You know, I'll rough in my body fairly close, but I use that cull from cutting it out, and I lay that cull in there, then I take it to the drill press and, you know, raise hell with the damn thing, but some spots it's kind of thin here. I didn't break through, but I know I'm damn close. So, all those little precautionary things.
Lost the tail there.
Whoa, geez. I want to burn my fingers. Thanks, Tom.
Tom saw that right away.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Nice ideas.
Richie, you can almost make another one of these up here, and then when you glue your bottom or body together, bottom board, top board, or
Absolutely.
that'd be a great idea.
It'd be another way to sandwich things together.
Yep.
Because again, you'll hear again, you're trying to clamp something that's got some round curves and you don't want to put pressure points on there, especially, you know, some of this, you know, cedar's awful soft. You know?
Yeah. Yep. To kind of answer your shoulder question, so if you have a study mount or something, or a reference or a pattern, if you find your shoulder, measure from the tail, because basically from here back doesn't change, and their breasts can change, whether their head's out, back like this. Yeah, but this, from this distance to here is always going to be pretty consistent. So what changes is up here. So if you're laying out a pattern and stuff, kind of start your pattern layout from your tail to your rump, to your primaries, to secondaries, tertials, and shoulder, and your wing. And that'll, so pretty much from here back,
Pretty much a given at that
it's a
point.
given at that point. And then from here, it's just on attitude, what you're having the bird do.
Sure. Okay.
So just a little pointer.
No, makes good sense, because I've been driving around the local ponds looking at a lot of mallets here lately, trying to figure out, you know.
Yeah.
But like you say, it all depends if they're got their breasts leaning forward or backwards. You're, like you say, the attitude to head position.
Yeah,
So.
sleeping with their heads all the way tucked, that breast is gonna pop way up and out, so.
Using a poke as a clip stamp.
That was a good time, good color.
You can colorate one, man.
Yeah, pretty friendly, yeah.
Yes.
So you take like two-piece tape and then carpet, put it underneath so it'll make the mark.
For his clamps, or? Oh,
Yep, I mean, you could treat that with, you know, some foam or some carpet. I just happen to have some cork left in the garage, so, you know,
yeah,
I don't throw too much away out there.
great idea, great idea. Thank you. Who's up next here? Yeah.
So after last month's program,
Why don't I slide this out? I don't want anyone getting cut or.
after last month's program, I thought about it for a minute and thought, you know, I've never done anything like that canvas-wise, and I've done an awful lot of cork lately because wood's ridiculously expensive. So we had all the free wood here the last few months, so I thought, let's put it to use. So the heads on these birds are cedar, scrap wood from the wood pile. The keels are butternut. There's a butternut chunk there that everybody left behind, so I salvaged that out of the pile, made keels out of it. Let's see, the spines are leftover wood from Dave. Had some old shelves that he demoed out of somebody's library 25 years ago, so he had them sitting behind his woodshed as throwaway scrap, so I took that and ended up having a piece of that I could use for the spines. The baseboards are leftover wood from when I did wood duck boxes. So like I was saying before, the only thing I spent any money on for these were the eyes. And if you factor in the paint, I might have if the eyes are $3.99 and I got 99 cents worth, I paid $5 for these. So, it was a bit of a challenge. Oh, and the cork that I put in the chest, that was scrap too, leftover, cut off from everything else. So, I didn't have.
You didn't wrap the canvas all the way around the chest?
Yep. So the canvas actually does wrap all the way around, and different from what our presentation was. I put the head on after I wrapped the canvas. If I had it to do again, if I was to do it again, I'd probably wrap the canvas all the way around the bottom. I have another one where the guy put it was a canvas bird like this, but instead of the welt on the edge, he put a thin plastic sheet on there to sandwich everything down and seal the seam. Basically like the plastic you get if you buy the 99-cent returnable bags from Menards, that thin plastic sheet that's in there, just to seal them up. So his were a little cleaner than these ones turned out, in my opinion. And then I painted them. I have a pair of lessers that are made out of cork that have the heads turned the opposite way, so I just kind of decided to bookend them and do in the opposite direction. So they float very tall in the water. So the only thing that's under the water line is the welt. So like the guy said in our presentation last month, if he had to do his over again, he'd have cut an inch off his pattern. I'd probably cut an inch off the pattern just so they sit a little bit lower in the water. Because
You couldn't make it up with weight in the keel?
I think you could, but I already have 3.5 ounces of weight in the keels. So in order to get them to pull down that much farther, I think you'd start adding way too much weight in them. So even if I just cut off the thickness of the bottom board off that profile pattern, because it's just my standard profile pattern is all I did for these. So
Where'd you get where'd you bill for the wire from?
what's that?
Where'd you bill for the wire from?
What can I say? Farmer friend of mine,
Where?
a farm that we
Okay.
had permission to hunt on. It was just out in the weeds next to the fence. So.
I'm probably gonna ask something that sounds like it was covered on a previous, show and tell here or something, but, on your canvas, what weight is that canvas? And is it shrunk on there? Is it waterproof? It's now waterproof because it's painted? Did you waterproof it before that, or just, why does that look like, I don't know if everybody's built, balls of airplanes as a kid, but usually you shrink wrap them, heat it, what he got, and it got nice and tight.
So it's, I stretched it tight when I tacked it down, but it did, so it's just regular cotton duck from Joanne Fabrics, and I sprayed hot water on it and put it out in the sun,
Okay.
and it shrunk, and then we did it one more time and hit it with a blow dryer to get just that little extra.
What's it called again, Matt?
It's just cotton duck.
Cotton duck.
Yep. So it's just.
Well, that really looks nice and hunt there.
Matt, do you think that was like the 2-ounce weight stuff and Joanne Fabrics?
I'd have to look. I'm sure I have it listed, but I didn't.
On
pay
canvas
that close
canoes, I
attention.
use either 4 or 6 ounce cloth on an old.
I know it wasn't the really light flimsy stuff, but it wasn't like the painter's canvas. So I'm a little concerned about how they would handle shot. So that's why I put the cork up front. In looking at my hand carved spread, the majority of the birds were shot in the chest. So that's why I kind of decided to put some extra up there.
Those birds aren't gonna fly,
Right.
so how are they gonna get shot?
I hunt with people who really like to rake decoys.
I
So.
always tell them, those are purple in the water.
Right. So, and then I just tried to paint them simple, so nothing too elaborate. But yeah, it was a fun project. I don't know that I would want to do nothing but canvas birds, because It did take a lot. My hands hurt for quite a while after I did those. So, yeah, it was a fun experiment. So, I encourage you to give it a try if you're thinking about it. It wasn't nearly as hard as I would have thought when he was demonstrating it.
Yeah, I like the presentation you gave.
Kind of like Matt, I like free stuff. So I did both of these out of free wood. This one was the meanest, ugliest piece of red cedar. I got it for free up at the telephone pole place. And it had the wildest grain. It had knots all over. It had splits and cracks, and so I figured, well, I'll try some stuff with it. The cracks, I always have a little bit of sawdust in my shop, and so I took the I took the sawdust and I packed it into the crack real tight, and then I shot some super glue in there, and that shrinks a little bit down, and so I repeated it a couple times with the bigger cracks, and I don't know if that's sound wood management, but with free wood I thought, what the heck. And then to smooth out the appearance a little bit, I mixed the modeling paste a little bit thicker and patted it down, and you can see the grain in this. It really sticks out. This one is going to be in my rig this fall, and probably leave it out all winter and see how the cracks hold up. This one, the Gomer and Mark got a real good deal on some petrified red cedar. And when they decided not to carve it, naturally some of it came my way. So this was one of Mark's body cutouts, and I was going to try to hollow it, and the Forstner bit wouldn't even make a dent. So it's pretty heavy. I figure I'm going to take this to shows, particularly Dale, your show. I'm going to put this on the table to hold the table down in case there's a tornado.
So it's a wing duck, huh?
Yeah, kind of.
Well, I couldn't hack it, Mark. I tried on that thing. I said, oh, I can't do this. So I gave it to our friend here because he's not too smart, you know, when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I gave it to him. Pair of green wings, Tupelo, I think, and they were just decoratives. And so there's nothing out of the ordinary. Just kind of fun birds to do. No, Richard, if I ever got mine this smooth, I think there was something the matter. Because mine never get this smooth.
It's one of those things, I blame it on the light bulb.
The light bulb?
Yeah. It's hard to get a brighter light bulb and son of a bitch, there's another groove. Gotta keep going.
Yeah, that's smoother than I can get.
Well, my good friend Denny gave me this Jim Bonham bird to paint. And so, as usual, kind of sat around. So then I thought, well, I better maybe think about doing it. So I scraped the gesso off of the eyes, and I was supposed to be doing Drake ring neck, but the eyes on this duck were big cow brown. So I had to call the chief up and say, hey, you know, I got brown eyes in this block. So I said, well, I could do a hen, or I could do a hen red-headed, I guess. So anyway, we decided to do a hen ringbill. And of course, it's the first time I've done a ringbill hen in my life. So it's oil paints, and you know, Jim has his stamp on the bottoms. And it's I tried to keep it kind of simple. I didn't know exactly if, you know, he did more kind of working decoys, right? I mean, he did some fancier stuff, but what I remember, so you know, there's not a whole lot of detailing on there, and a little bit, but anyway, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can take the towel with it if you want.
Okay.
Thank you.
So she wrote.
Looks nice. So, we want to take a little break or go right into your program?
I gotta take a little break.
Yep. Take the break. There's game first.